I've been sent one of the Clover Embroidery Stitching Tools to review, so I thought I'd open it while you're here. You can see what comes with it. There was a press release given on the UKQU website a little while ago. It just gives a brief outline of the possibilities that you can use it for the stitches that you can use. As you can see on the packet, it says about back stitch, loop stitch, satin stitch. Details are inside on how to use it. So I thought I'd just give it a go. Let's open it up and see what we've got. So that's your stitching tool. And that's there as well. You've got a threader. Oops. I shall open it up for the instructions. Just take that threader out. Ooh. So the threader that you get with it, as you can see, is longer than your traditional threader. So be sure to read before use. So test before use. You don't want to force it through it as a couple of fibres. Holes from stitches may remain depending on the type of fabric. Excessive pressure on the threader can damage it. Do not use threads that will not pass smoothly through the hole in the needle. And obviously the needle is sharp. So before storing, be sure to remove the needle from the embroidery stitching tool, replace the cap and loosen the grip. So I imagine in here then is your needle. There we go. And looking at the needle, it's basically a tube, got the eye here and a point there. So definitely could do some damage. Let's get my instructions open. There we go. So attaching the needle, so holding the head firmly one hand, loosen the grip in the arrow's direction with the other hand at the needle. So I've got the grip, and that's the head. If I hold it that way, I've got it the same way as the picture. Turn that way. Alright then, so turn that way. So the needle will then go into there. And you can adjust the needle length. And then tighten up. Position 3 is the standard setting. So let's just see. So 1, 2, 3. There's round about there. Let's tighten up. So the 5 settings let you adjust the length of the stitches or loop. If the needle is set beyond position 5, it may fall out. Okay, so I've got my thread. It doesn't give you on these instructions. I shall do a search online and see if there's any other guidance as to working length. I'm just probably going to cut it a bit longer. Now the needle that they've supplied is a 3-ply, so I'm assuming that I'm only using 3 strands of cotton. You can get needles that are single ply, so if you're looking for something to do finer work, it looks like you need to get a separate needle. Just separate these off and then put them back together again. Right then, so of course we need to get our thread going down the tube, so threading your needle. So there's my threader. Push the needle through the needle shaft until the point comes out of the head. So there we go. Oh, actually that's gone down the side of the shaft. Right, okay, so you need to make sure that it goes down the centre of the needle. So you need to look at that. So pass the thread through the threader. There we go. Oh, that will get easier. So approximately 2 inches to go through. Slowly pull the threader out of the eye and leave the thread sticking out of the needle's point. About 3 centimetres. Let's get that out of the threader. There we go. So that's there. So now I need to get some fabric. So I'm just going to do just a test on here, then I'll do a design, draw out a design and have a play with that. So let's see. There we go. Right, if the fabric is too loose, you won't be able to make beautiful stitches. So use a Clover embroidery hoop. I've just found one that I've got. Pull the fabric taut. So how to use the embroidery. So do not press on the thread. So the thread at the top, you want to make sure. Looks like you're keeping it at 90 degrees to your fabric. And you're going to make sure that the bevel is good. It looks like it's in the direction towards where you're stitching. So thrust the needle into the fabric to the base of the holder and then pull up just above the fabric of the surface. Keeping the needle point close as possible, use a sliding motion to move the needle along to make the second stitch. Pull up. So let's have a go. I'm just going to cut that excess fabric off. So this is the cotton that I'm using is just some basic sheeting. Put that on the table, just make sure it doesn't go. Right then. So poke it right down, up. So this is quite a thick fabric. I'm just doing a basic. You're going to, this is quite a tight weave, so something a bit looser may help. And obviously right, so that's a running stitch. You need to make sure that you're not pulling it too far along to pull out too much thread. So let's try satin stitch. Oh. Obviously got to make sure that you don't get too far. I'll go to next. Right, okay, I can see my problem. Here we are, that's why it is. I haven't tightened the needle up tight enough. So just very carefully, let's loosen that up. Pull my, oh, don't want to unthread it. So let's loosen that up. So I think because the fabric is quite tight, what's causing that to... There we go. So now you know what happens if you put your needle down too low. So let's... And if you pull on your stitches, it's going to pull them out. That's better. So if you're going to do... Right. Let's have a look at what other ones we're going to be doing. Let's have a look. Talking about... Oops. Right, so if you're going to be travelling any area, it might benefit from holding it. I think I'm holding onto the thread, that's it. It's certainly going to take a bit of practice to get this. So loops, obviously, you're going to pull it up higher. See, I quite like it for the loops. So just the length of your loops. There we go. So loops, I quite like the loops, so we might have a lot of loopy stuff. Right then, let's see, run out of thread. So to fix it, apparently you need to glue the ends. So what I'm going to do is go and have a practice. Just draw out a design and see how we get along. So I'll come back and show you after I've had a practice. Okay, so I've had a bit more of a play with the embroidery tool. I've also done some research. There are some good blogs out there that give you some hints and tips. Give you information that you don't get on the leaflet as well. One of the best ones that I found was that when you're doing running stitch, you need to do that with the right side of your work facing, and that's there. What I did have problems was if you just caught one of those stitches, it undid it. Great for if you make a mistake because you can just pull it straight back, but for unintentional, then it's a bit frustrating. So I think once you've done it, you're going to have to stabilise it and fix it at the back. So it does say on the leaflet about the ends fixing with glue, but I think to keep your stitching tidy, that you're going to have to probably put some stabiliser on the back. When you're doing your loops, then you do it with your wrong side facing. I think that's so you can get a good coverage of the area that you're going to cover. I just tufted these ones just to see the effect of it, and it does give a nice effect, and I can see that being used to great effect in designs. Because you also have the option there of being able to trim it down so that it's all level. You're going to need, I think, time to practice with it and to find your optimum length of your needle as well. When I was trying to do the loops here, obviously it was too long. Trying to get the optimum length here that you're going to keep your stitches in and that you're not going to pull them out when you move on to do the next area or when you catch it. Satin stitch I found difficult to get the hang of, but I think it's all practice and taking time to have a go with it. With all that I've got going on at the moment, I don't have that time to dedicate to it, but if you look around and see those that have, it's been very effective and you can get some really lovely designs from it. So give it a go, see if you enjoy it, and then if it's something that you feel that you're going to enjoy, spend the time perfecting your skills. Doing some practice pieces I think would be great. So I'll put the links on to show for the press release and where you can find it. I think obviously you want a variety of the needles so that you're able to do different textures and get different effects with those. So this one is for the 3 loop. Actually, by accident I did 2 there with 2 threads, and you do need to have that 3 ply going through. So if you have a go, I'll be interested in your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.